there, it's Karen here with you again, and welcome back to my channel, and a special welcome to my new subscribers. I've had a little flurry of new subscribers recently, for which I'm very grateful. Thank you for joining us. After my craft room tour, I just asked if anybody was interested in seeing my lockdown diary, and a few of you said you were. So I thought that's what I'll do today. I'll just do a little flip through, tell you how it came about. Try to keep it brief, because it's quite a chunky monkey, as you can see. I don't know if you can see that. It's actually three little traveller's notebook style books. So I would try not to belabour it too much and just flick through so you can see how it looks. It all started with Diane Reevely, who's the owner of Dilutions, all the Dilutions products. She does some amazing videos, and I was really enjoying watching them. And because she was stuck at home, she's from Yorkshire, and she was stuck in her house while everybody, as we all were during lockdown, couldn't travel, which she normally does a lot. She started this series of documenting her everyday on YouTube, and so we all sort of worked along with her. And the idea was, you take one of these little, she calls them a dialogue books. They're basically the same as a traveller's notebook. If I just take the outer cover off, this is one I've not used yet. I bought myself another one which I've never got around to using, and it doesn't really matter what the insert is like. She does various ones, but they've all got this really lovely mixed media paper inside, which is a bit different to a normal traveller's notebook in that you can use paints and sprays and anything you like on it, and it all just really works. This one has got dots. She does little grid ones, she does a plain one, and I think I've used different ones, and when you cover them with paint, it doesn't really matter what they're like inside. But they're really good to work on when you're doing mixed media, and I did have lots of fun with this. And then the idea was, the way she approached it, you took your whole empty book and you decorated every page with paint right at the beginning. And you start off and you pick 3 cool colours, and you use just those 3 for the whole book. And you also take 3 warm colours. And again, you just pick any 3 random colours, because of all the way she works, any 3 warm colours will work together, and any 3 cool colours will work together. So you can just pick them at random, which is what I did, just to pick these up. And then you just work your way through and alternate between the different colours, just with the warms or just with the cools. And I think it was using a brayer and a little jelly plate, which I had a little, which she used as well to cover the pages with paint, basically. So you just kind of go randomly. Okay, I'll do my warm ones this time, and you do cool ones, and just cover literally the whole book with colour. And then you go over it again with some stencils, using again the same 3 colours, but going over them with some stenciling, so that you just give it a little bit more depth without it being too dominant. So you're sticking with the same colours, so they're quite subtle, but then you use perhaps a stencil or even a couple of stencils on each page with one of the colours. And then after that, I think we went over it with more stencils, but doing just a border stencils with a black to kind of highlight it. So you'll see what I mean when I go through the book. But that's pretty much what I did. And then after that, it's up to you how you decorate. So mine was all using photographs and telling the story of what we were doing in lockdown, really. So the first one actually starts in the middle, because I had already started working in this book. I think I'll take the books out, because then it'd be easier for you to see. So I'll take them all out. So it was basically 2.5 books is what I ended up using. So that one's still got a little plastic around it, which I'll take out. And this one as well. So I actually filled 2.5 of these, and I will show you what I did. It was a lot of fun. It was a really great thing to do during lockdown. It was nice to be able to record how I was feeling and what was happening. I was getting photographs from both the girls. You know, we were all exchanging photographs of what we were doing, and it all went in my diaries. So this is the first one. So this actually starts, where did it start? Here. So this is all just other random things that I was just playing with and bits and pieces that I was doing generally. But this one, I actually called it my isolation separation diary, because we were isolated and separated from our families. And this is very similar to a page that she did herself. So, and then it's just day one, and I did the days of lockdown. I actually did like day one of lockdown and the date. So this was the 17th of March, and this was the first day that Richard and I started working from home. So it was actually slightly before official lockdown started. I think the official lockdown date was the 23rd of March. But I think we both realised that we needed to start working from home even before that. So the first day we worked from home was the 17th of March. So I just took a picture. We both had our workstations. I don't know if you can see, they're quite tiny pictures. This is where I used my little zip printer. So I printed off a lot of these pictures very tiny, because this was obviously a very small book and it meant I could get everything in. But if you can see, this is our workstation. So we both set ourselves up for working at our dining table, both sides of the dining table, and that's where we began. And so that was the first page, and you can see here, this is all my, I used three of the cool colours here. There's sort of a green and a blue, a couple of different greens. And then there's a bit of stenciling as well. It's quite subtle. And then some of the patterning around the edge. So then you kind of do a bit of a border, which is less subtle, but it just gives the page a bit of interest, I think. And then all the and then you still, because the paint is very in the background, you still can write on top of it, and it's still quite easy to read. So I'll just flick through. This is some picture of Hannah and George. He'd got stuck in France at the beginning of lockdown, and he'd just arrived home. It took him a while to get back. And just some pictures. I mean, they're just photographs, and I just had fun decorating with the hearts, and these are all mostly, I think these are the stencils that I was using. I used stamps as well. I think this was a stamp. I think this is a stencil. I used a lot of Dylusion stencils. I was buying stencils and paint like there's like nobody's business during this period. And also she's very into doodling around things, around photographs and things, so I did a lot of that. Did a lot of doodling around my photographs. And this was my mother-in-law's 90th birthday. And yeah, I mean, this is a Dylusion stamp. So I just had lots of fun. There's a doily underneath. There's another stamp that I'd cut out. So here's the warm colours and more of the cool colours. I used the same colours for each one, but because every one is decorated differently and you use different stencils and different stamps, every page ended up looking different. So I think this was on Mother's Day, where just a picture of me sitting by myself away from my girls on Mother's Day. And lots of pictures of Alyssa. She wasn't quite 2. She was coming up for 2 when this was all going on. So Jenny would just send pictures of her, whatever she'd been up to. And they all made their way in here. So I wrote on those, for those who have lost track, today is Blur's Day, because it just felt like all the days were blurring into each other, and she's just snuggled up on the sofa. She doesn't look like she wants to do anything today. And I knew how that felt. And yeah, just had fun decorating that. And gave her wings here. It's quite fanciful, quite whimsical, a lot of these pages. There's toadstool stamps, which I did a lot of stamping and then cut out the stamps and then stuck them on. So there's a lot of that going on. There's another bright, jolly page with she'd been doing some baking with her mummy and got covered in chocolate, because I think it was Daddy's birthday cake they were making. Lots of stamping with flowers, and that was the actual birthday. A lovely picture of Daddy and Lissy on his birthday morning. So yeah, so that's another cool page. And then I did a little summary at the end of each month to see what had been happening. So I just recorded about it being my mother-in-law's birthday, and how she'd had her 2 sons had been the only ones been able to go and see her. But we'd all done it we'd celebrated with her over Zoom. And about what what I was working and how I was feeling, really. That was just, I was just a bit of a sum up of how that month had been going. This is the letter I think many of us got from the Prime Minister. I think Diane actually had one as well, and she showed a way of. She thought it was quite good to put it in here, so I did too. I did the same as she did, just put it on some washi, and it's signed Boris Johnson. It just tells you what's going on, and it's just a little flap here, and then underneath, this is one of the Dilution stencils, and I just wrote on there, "Stay at home, protect the NHS, save lives," which was the mantra that the Prime Minister had been putting out, that they, the team in charge of lockdown was all about staying at home and saving lives and protecting the NHS. So that's what I put on here. And that's just the end. This is more about my March summary and how much crafting had been helping me with the anxiety I was feeling, because I've been told how I was extremely vulnerable to the virus, and it inevitably makes you feel very anxious when you know that it could kill you, basically, because that's what was happening to people. People were dying, and nobody knew how to protect themselves other than staying at home and not going anywhere. And certainly at the beginning it made me very anxious. So yeah, talked about doing more exercise, the use of technology at work and things like that, and how that was changing. So that was the first little book. And then this is part 2, April and May. I'm starting to... So this first page, it's very leery, I know, it's very bright. I think I did the whole thing again, did another second book, took 3 different colours. So I've got a purple and an orange and a pink, so really quite bright colours for this one, for my warm colours. And this page is, I took screenshots, or a screenshot, of our very first work Zoom meeting. It was the first time we'd had a team meeting with the whole team. I think it was about 20 of us, on Zoom. And I did a little screenshot, so we're all there. And then I put, I just wrote on the back that it was the first time the whole team, we'd seen each other since lockdown began. So the first 45 minutes went with just checking in with each other and seeing how we were all doing. And then I listed all the names of the people, because, it's easy to forget after a while. And that was, I think that was something quite good to record. And this is day 15, so yeah, that's where so I'm keeping a record. I didn't do absolutely every day, because there wasn't something to record every day. Every day was sort of a bit similar. So that was day 15, but the next one is day 20. So where we had something I wanted to record, I'd put it in, but I didn't absolutely slavishly record every day. And this was Hannah and George did some sort of version of their own Olympic Games over Easter. I don't know what that involved, I can't remember now, but they had a bit of fun with it, just doing that at home. And I think this is something I got off Facebook or something, and it just says, "Until further notice, the days of the week are now called this day, that day, other day, someday, yesterday, today, and next day." Because it was another reference to the fact that everything is each day is blurring into the next, and we're losing track of time a little bit. So I think one of the things that Diane says is that purple can go as one of your warm colours, but it can also go on with the cool colours. It's one of those transitional colours that goes with, you can put it with either colour, so I've used it quite a lot in this one. And yeah, just more pictures of things that Alyssa was up to. Just more fun, colourful pages. So playing with her mother's makeup. I put nearly 2, going on 16. And there we are. I'll just flick through these next few pages. Prepared for the long haul, because we've stocked up on our wine rack was very full. And an Easter egg hunt, little one having her first Easter egg hunt. First time she was old enough. So I just cut a few Easter eggs out and popped them in amongst all the So these toadstools were a stamp that I'd cut out, and then I cut out some Easter eggs and popped them in amongst them just to make it feel a bit Eastery, and down here as well. And yeah, so we have now Easter. And this was the day, I recorded this day because I started doing laps of the garden. I didn't realise at the time, but it was the start of me really getting a lot fitter than I had been in many, many years. And I would just go round the garden 15 times, twice a day. And I kept that up all through lockdown. And I haven't really stopped doing, walking, in that I do go around the estate quite often. Not as often as I did, this was every day. But I didn't feel like going out of the house at this point. I didn't feel like going around the estate. I just stuck to the garden and just went round and round and round. And doing that every day for a few months, it really, really made a difference. Couldn't believe it really, but it really did. I think this is when I got my letter from the NHS telling me I'm at great risk of serious illness. So that was quite a scary letter to receive. So shielding at home, that's a sort of idea of the virus, and I think I'm just safe shielded at home is what I've written there. So yeah, and that was the shield shape. So that's what I was trying to indicate. Yeah, and then there was just more activities. I think we started doing quizzes at work, so there were some quizzy things going on here. Lockdown quizzes and things that we were sharing with each other. Picture of me in my craft room, doing my painting, doing my diary. Just a picture Richard took of me. Or might have been a selfie, not sure. And yeah. So this was such fun really to do. I really enjoyed it. Alyssa's second birthday, so we just got pictures from her mum. So that's her. And just more Alyssa pictures. Just having a bit of fun at home. She loved it. She loved being at home with her mum and dad. And this was about my little routine that I'd got into. I just wrote down just really not very much exciting things happening. I'd start with 15 laps of the garden. Then I'd work for a few hours. Then I'd watch Doctors, which is a soap that's on here on the TV, and Father Brown, because they were what was on around lunchtime, or when I stopped work, and then I'd have lunch and watch these two programmes. And then I'd be up here in my craft room at 3 o'clock, crafting in my dialogue, doing this. Then another 15 laps of the garden, and I'd cook dinner. And that was my daily routine for the week. Except on a Friday, when I'd also, because I wasn't working on Fridays, I would do Pilates in the morning instead. And then on a Wednesday, we would have our family video chat every week. At 9 o'clock on a Wednesday, we would have our family video. And on a Thursday evening, we would all clap for the carers. They would all stand on our doorsteps at 8 o'clock and clap for all the carers and all the key workers. And just carrying on really. What have we got here? Oh yeah, that was little bit sort of sentimental. I did a little letter to Alyssa, which I've sealed. I've not looked at since. I think I was still feeling a bit anxious about what the future held, and I thought, well, if anything happened, there was a little letter in here for her. Can't even remember what I wrote in it, but I thought I just wanted to put something in there just in case we didn't get to see her again. You think this way. There's people, it was really scary. Then we got to May. And this is just... I was just having one of those days, and I said I didn't want to get up, have a shower, clean my teeth, get dressed, or walk my 15 laps. I just didn't feel like it. But I did do my Pilates. And I started making masks. So I've got a little sewing machine, die cut here. And this is my week off, the first week I'd had off, because I've been doing quite a lot of overtime with everything that was going on. I'd been doing a lot of extra hours because I only work part-time, and I actually was working more hours than I was being paid for. So I was able to take some time off in lieu at the in May. And all I've just done is I've written plans for this week, none, because I couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. I was just at home, probably in my craft room most of the time. And this is one of the Dilution stamps that I've got, and I coloured it in. I mean, that was all part of the fun, was doing all the colouring in and then cut it out and put her in. So that's me just sitting doing nothing, in theory. And there we go. There's more pictures from things we're up to. This was the VE Day on the 8th of May. And just talking about what was happening in the country, how people were trying to celebrate it in a social distancing way. Richard's first haircut. This is the first time I'd cut his hair because it was getting really long. So I've been doing it ever since. Actually, he's never gone back to the barber since then. So we bought a little trimmer, and I went for it, and he was quite happy. In fact, as I say, he's so happy that he hasn't gone back to the barbers. That's my little job every now and again. And a few more pages about what Alyssa was up to. Baking. And Jenny was getting clothes delivered. I'm keeping it all, she says. Right, so that's that one. And last one. I hope this isn't too boring for you. I'm trying not to make it too slow. Right, so the first page in here was the 13th of May. And it says, the government announced an easing of lockdown. We can now meet one person in a public place, not me, I'm still at risk. So I wasn't able to do that. But some people did and could. And this was our anniversary. So we'd had some flowers sent. There was a little card here that this came from Jenny. So I just popped the little card. I did this. Pop this in here, little journal card, popped into this little pocket here, and these are the flowers that came from Jenny and Gary and Alyssa for our anniversary. So I just wrote about it on here. And then this was us having a cream tea. I think we possibly ordered it. I can't remember how we got all the goodies, but we had a cream tea, and it was such a beautiful day that we were able to sit in the garden, and have our cream tea. It was really nice. And then we had Indian takeaway for dinner that night. I've written that down here. So yeah, this was our anniversary cream tea, which was very nice. And then, yeah, more Lissy pictures. And I've done again, I've used different three colours for this book. And I think this one I used a baby wipe to just smoosh around the paints instead of doing them with, which I had done before. I think I'd been using a brayer and dabbing with and putting it onto a, what do you call it, a little, the little plate, what they do, the jelly printing plate. I've got a little one. And I've been using that and doing a bit of brayering. I think on this one, some of these I did with a baby wipe and smooshed around the colours, just to make a different effect. And so this one, just folded out this page. This was a page, I think I took it out of somewhere else and then cut it in so that I could just add a little bit on. So this is our little girl playing. Doing art. And this was my first visit to the woods since lockdown had started to ease. We went to the woods for the first time, and every time I saw anybody, I was like going behind a tree or something. I was so nervous about meeting people. It's so sad, and but that's how it felt. Every time I saw anybody coming towards me, I was just trying to keep away, which is a bit sad really. But that's how it was then. And yeah, that's my Hannah having an ice cream. And one or two pages I think this might be the only one I've done that, but I painted it black. This is something that Diane did quite a bit. She'd always take 2 or 3 pages in each book and paint it completely black, so you could give it a different effect and use a lot of white pens and things to do the decorating. So that was just a decorated page. And then another one having ice cream. Little Lissy enjoying an ice cream, and then an apple by the looks of it. And this one, all the pinks and oranges. So even though they're the same colours, the 2 pages are quite different in the way they've been decorated. And here's another black one. And this is another change in the rules, I think, at the end of May. It says, from tomorrow we will be allowed to meet family and friends in open spaces or gardens in groups of no more than 6. So people from separate households must maintain social distancing of 2 metres. So that was the new rule. And so I think I just kind of put what looked like little family groups together and sort of indicated that they could all be using the Tim Holtz people. So this was our first get-together. Hannah and George came over and we had a lovely afternoon in the garden. And they sat in the garden with us, and I lent them the clippers so that she could have a go at his hair. She was very nervous about it, but at least it tidied up his hair. But we maintained social distancing. We were very good, and we gave them things, you know, they could wash their hands and stuff. But it was just lovely to sit face to face and talk to them. And that's my next week off. I'm just listing the things that I was going to be doing. Walking around the garden, do some Pilates, watching the birds on the bird feeder, watering the plants, playing in my craft room, and watched lots of YouTube videos. And then I've written at the bottom, all achieved. I didn't set myself very, very high goals, but I managed to do all of them, so that's good. That was fun as well. And that's another one of those stamps, those quirky people that she's got. I've got, you know, the stamps that she uses, and they're so much fun to colour in, and they're quite quirky and quite fun, and they go really well with all the backgrounds and things. So that was fun. And this was congratulations to Hannah. I can't remember why. She's got a new job. That's what it was. She's been offered a job because she's just finished her studying. So yeah, she got a new job. So she was very happy and sent lots of silly pictures. Very happy with herself, pleased with herself. And right, this one. But lots of baking. Jenny and Alyssa did a lot of baking in lockdown. They loved doing that together. And she looks like she met a cat and came to visit. So just recorded that. Close Encounter of the Furry Kind. That's that one. And this is just another black page that I decorated. Popped a picture of Alyssa with some wings. Yeah, just lots of fun decorating these pages. And this was the first day they came to see us, which was lovely. They came and we sat in the garden, and we were able to play with Alyssa and just sit and talk and have a cup of tea, and it was just lovely. That was the 14th of June. So, and there's her on my lap. I think we were looking at a book. We were reading a book together. It was lovely. You wonder, you know, when they're so little, that whether they'll remember you when you haven't seen them for a few months. But she did. It was lovely. And this was more of the same day. It was such a lovely day. She was doing some watering with Grandad. That made him happy. He loves doing gardening with her. And there we are. Right at the end, after 12 weeks, lockdown separation from the girls is finally over, even though I am still shielding. So there are good and bad things about being in lockdown. So I listed the good and the bad things, and then the ugly things. So yeah, there were some good things. In fact, the good things in a way outweighed the bad overall. You know, it was a way to feel safe. I was happy. I think I was happy because it was the two of us. We were home together, and that really was nice. And I got fitter, enjoyed the garden. That was very good. And spending all that time in my craft room, it was really good fun. And obviously the bad is a bit more obvious, not being able to see the family, and the feelings of anxiety and being fearful about what would happen if I caught the virus. And then the ugly was a couple of things. I just said the panic buying of toilet paper and pasta, which happened at the beginning, which was crazy, and people not taking this seriously and not social distancing, which there were people doing that. So that was just a bit of a pulling together of things towards the end of lockdown, and I think that's pretty much as far as I got. I still had some more decorated pages, but I think because it marked the end of our separation from the family, and I called it the lockdown separation diary. And the end of shielding happened on the 1st of August, which is what I've written here, and this is the letter to tell me about that. That I now no longer needed to shield, although I wasn't in any big hurry to go out there and take any more risks. And because we hadn't had the vaccinations at this point, it was just that the virus was receding somewhat, temporarily. So this was just the last few pages that I had decorated. You see, this is how they start off before you've really added in all the extra bits, just with a bit of paint and a bit of stenciling. It just looks a bit of a mess when you stop, before you start. But by the time you've added some black borders and other decorative bits and all your photos and your journaling and things, it looks quite different. And you added all the stamping that I've stuck on. It looks quite different. And this is just how they looked. And I never quite managed to. Well, I didn't need to get to the end, but these are the pages before all my extras were added, like that. The photos and all the little stamps. These were little stamps of more little girls. Still very quirky, very, very Diane Reevely, but they're so much fun. So that was it. That was my last entry. Was the day that we shielding ended. Officially, not necessarily for me, because I was very cautious. So that's it. That's my little set of lockdown diaries. I hope that was of interest, and I hope you enjoyed it. It was ever such a lot of fun to do, and it was a very good thing to do during that period, because I needed something to take my mind off things. So there we are. That's my lockdown diaries. Thank you very much for joining me today, and do join me again soon. Bye for now.